Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. Life has a funny way of settling into routines, doesn't it? Especially when you reach a certain age. My days had found a comfortable rhythm here in Oakhaven. Morning coffee on the porch swing, listening to the birds gossip in the old maple tree, tending to my small garden, maybe a book club meeting or lunch with my friend Martha. Quiet. Predictable, mostly. My husband, Tom, passed away 3 years ago, and the kids are grown with lives of their own miles away. So it's just me and the house, filled mostly with memories and the gentle ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. My neighbors, the Hendersons, have been next door for 20 years. Martha, bless her heart, always jokes that our property lines are purely suggestions. We've shared countless cups of sugar, watched each other's houses during vacations, and celebrated milestones together. I watched their son, Ethan, grow up. From scraped knees and little league games to awkward high school dances and heading off to college. He was always a polite kid, maybe a little quiet, but with kind eyes like his mother, Sarah. He moved back home about 6 months ago after finishing his master's degree. I'd see him occasionally, mowing the lawn or carrying in groceries for Sarah. We'd exchange pleasantries, the usual "how are you?" And nice weather we're having, but that was about it. He was a grown man now, closer to 30 than 20, with a serious look about him sometimes, working remotely from his old bedroom, apparently. He wasn't the lanky teenager anymore. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, though sometimes I caught a glimpse of something uncertain in his expression when he thought no one was looking. So you can imagine my surprise last Tuesday afternoon. I was out front, wrestling with a particularly stubborn patch of weeds near the mailbox, my gardening gloves covered in dirt, probably with a smudge on my cheek, knowing my luck. Ethan pulled into their driveway, his car sputtering slightly, a reliable but aging sedan. He got out, grabbed his briefcase, and then, instead of heading straight inside, he walked over to the low picket fence separating our yards. "Afternoon, Carol," he said. His voice was deeper than I remembered, smooth. "Aye, Ethan. Just battling the dandelions," I replied, trying to brush a stray hair from my face with the back of my gloved hand, likely making the dirt smudge worse. He chuckled, a nice sound, genuine. "Looks like you're winning." He leaned against the fence post, not seeming like he was in a rush to get inside. "Actually, I was wondering." He hesitated for a moment, looking down at his shoes, then back up at me. Those kind eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't quite place. Nervousness? Purpose? "I know this might sound a bit out of the blue, but would you maybe like to grab a coffee sometime this week?" My treat. I blinked. Coffee? With Ethan? My mind raced. Was his mom sick? Did they need something? Was he selling something? It seemed so. Unexpected. "Coffee?" I echoed, probably sounding a bit dazed. "Yeah," he said, a slight flush creeping up his neck. I've been wanting to ask you something, get your perspective on a situation, actually. Thought it might be easier over coffee than shouting over the fence." He gave a small, almost shy smile. "Perspective?" I asked, curiosity peaked now, overriding the initial surprise. It wasn't about needing help or selling something, it seemed. He wanted advice? From me? "Yeah," he repeated, seeming a bit more relaxed now that the invitation was out. "If you're not too busy, of course." I pulled off my gloves, tucking them into my apron pocket. The request felt genuine and honestly a little intriguing. It wasn't every day the neighbor's grown son asked for my perspective on anything. Maybe my quiet routine could use a little shake-up. "Well, Ethan," I said, managing a warm smile. "That's very thoughtful of you. I think I could manage that. When did you have in mind? Relief washed over his face. Great. How about Thursday? Maybe around 10? There's that little place, the Daily Grind, down on Main Street? The Daily Grind sounds perfect, I confirmed. Thursday at 10 it is. Excellent, he said, his smile widening. I'll look forward to it, Carol. He gave a little wave and headed inside, leaving me standing by the fence, the forgotten weeds momentarily safe. My neighbor's son. Coffee. My perspective. What on earth could he want to talk about? The quiet predictability of my afternoon had just taken a very interesting detour. I went inside, washed the dirt from my hands and face, and couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation, mixed with a healthy dose of bewilderment. Thursday morning arrived draped in that soft, early autumn light, the kind that makes everything look a little golden. I took a bit more care getting ready than I usually would for just running errands. Not fussy, mind you, but I chose my favorite blue knit sweater, the one that brings out the color in my eyes, and a pair of comfortable slacks. A touch of lipstick. Why? I wasn't sure. Maybe it was just the novelty of it, breaking the routine. Or maybe, deep down, I felt a little flattered that this young man, seemingly navigating his own complex adult life, thought my perspective was worth seeking out. The Daily Grind was bustling, filled with the comforting aroma of roasted beans and baked goods. Soft jazz played in the background and chatter filled the air. I spotted Ethan already seated at a small table near the window, nursing a mug. He looked up as I approached, and that warm smile immediately put me at ease. He stood up politely. Carol, aye. Thanks for coming. Morning, Ethan. Smells wonderful in here, doesn't it? I slid into the chair opposite him. The table was small, creating a sense of closeness that wasn't uncomfortable, just present. He'd already bought me a coffee. A latte, just how I liked it. How did you know? I asked, surprised. He shrugged, a little color rising on his cheeks again. I might have heard you order it once when Mom dragged me here last month. Thoughtful. I took a sip. It was perfect. We chatted for a few minutes about the usual things, his parents, the unseasonably warm weather, the noisy construction down the street. It felt natural, easy. He was a good listener, attentive, making eye contact in a way that felt respectful and engaged. Then he took a deep breath, setting his mug down carefully. So, he began, his tone shifting slightly, becoming more serious. The reason I asked you here, it's about my career path. And maybe, well, life in general. I leaned forward slightly, signaling I was ready to listen. I finished my master's in software engineering. He continued, tracing the rim of his mug with a finger. Good job, good prospects. Everyone tells me I should be thrilled. And I am, in a way. It's challenging work. But he trailed off, looking out the window for a moment. But it doesn't feel, right? Is that crazy? He looked back at me, his expression earnest, searching. I spend all day staring at code, solving problems logically. It pays well, my parents are proud. But at the end of the day, I feel disconnected. Like I'm building things nobody really needs, or worse, things that just distract people. There's this creative itch I have, something I've always pushed aside because it wasn't practical. He paused, seeming hesitant to continue. What kind of creative itch? I prompted gently. He looked down, swirling the coffee in his mug. Woodworking, he said, almost sheepishly. Ever since I was a kid in Dad's workshop. I love the smell of sawdust, the feel of the grain, taking a rough piece of lumber and making something beautiful, something useful with my own hands. I've been doing small projects in the evenings, hidden away in the garage. It's the only time I feel completely myself." He looked up, vulnerability clear in his eyes. "My parents think it's just a hobby, a distraction. They worry I'll throw away a good career. And maybe they're right. But this engineering job, it feels like I'm wearing someone else's suit." He sighed. "I guess I wanted to ask you, you've seen a lot of life, Carol. You've always seemed so grounded, so content in your own skin. Is it foolish to want something more than just practical? To follow something that feels meaningful, even if it's less secure?" I listened intently, taking in his words, the passion that lit up his face when he spoke about woodworking, the conflict warring within him. Here was this capable young man, successful by conventional standards, wrestling with the age-old question of passion versus practicality. It wasn't what I had expected at all. I thought maybe he had landlord troubles or needed advice on dealing with a difficult colleague. This was deeper, more personal. I thought about my own life, about Tom, who had worked a steady but uninspiring accounting job for 40 years to provide for us, always dreaming of opening a little bookstore that never materialized. I thought about the choices I'd made, the paths taken and not taken. "Ethan," I said softly, meeting his gaze, "it's never foolish to want your life to feel meaningful. Practicality pays the bills, and that's important, truly it is. But passion feeds the soul, and life is too short to starve your soul." He absorbed my words, his shoulders relaxing slightly. "But how do you balance it?" he asked, his voice quiet. "How do you know if you're being brave or just incredibly reckless?" "That," I admitted, "is the million-dollar question. There's no easy answer. Sometimes it's about finding a way to integrate your passion, maybe not quitting the day job immediately, but carving out dedicated time, seeing where it leads. Sometimes it's about taking a calculated leap. But the first step is acknowledging that what you feel is valid. That longing for something more, that creative itch, as you call it, that's your intuition talking. It's telling you something important about who you are." We talked for almost 2 hours. He told me about the intricate little music boxes he carved, the satisfaction of restoring an old piece of furniture. I shared stories about Tom's hidden dreams, about my own rediscovery of painting after the kids left home, how it had filled a space I didn't even realize was empty. There was no awkwardness, no sense of the age gap being a barrier. It was just two people sharing experiences, vulnerabilities, and a search for meaning. He listened to me with the same respect and attention he'd hoped I would offer him. He asked thoughtful questions about my painting, about how I navigated loneliness after Tom passed. It was a conversation that flowed easily, built on a surprising foundation of mutual understanding. As we got ready to leave, he hesitated by the door. "Carol," he said, his tone full of sincerity, "thank you. Really, you have no idea how much this helped. Just saying it out loud to someone who listened, without judgment." "Anytime, Ethan," I smiled. "And for what it's worth, I think pursuing something that makes you feel that alive is incredibly brave, not reckless." He gave me that warm smile again, the one that reached his eyes. "Maybe I'll show you some of my projects sometime, if you're interested." "I'd love that," I said, and I meant it. Walking home under the golden autumn sun, the world felt a little brighter. The conversation replayed in my mind. It wasn't just about woodworking or careers. It was about connection, about being seen for who you are, not just the role you play, the neighbor, the widow, the engineer, the neighbor's son. Something had shifted, subtly but significantly. A simple coffee invitation had unlocked a door to an unexpected friendship, a connection that felt surprisingly deep and remarkably comfortable. My quiet routine suddenly felt richer, imbued with a sense of possibility. That coffee meeting wasn't a one-off. A few days later, Ethan knocked on my door, a slightly hesitant look on his face, holding a small, beautifully wrapped box. "I finished something," he mumbled, shifting his weight. "Thought you might like to see it." Inside was a small jewelry box, crafted from cherry wood, smooth as silk, with intricate carvings of leaves around the edges. The grain glowed warmly. It was exquisite. "Ethan, this is stunning," I breathed, running my fingers over the detailed work. "You made this?" "Yeah," he said, pride mixing with shyness. "Just finished sanding it yesterday." "It's not much, but it's wonderful," I interrupted gently. "Truly, you have a remarkable talent." I invited him in, and he ended up staying for tea. He talked more about his woodworking, his dreams of maybe, someday, setting up a small workshop, perhaps doing custom pieces or restoration. He showed me pictures on his phone, a sturdy bookshelf, a delicate birdhouse, a rocking horse he'd restored for a friend's child. Each piece held a story, a piece of him. I, in turn, showed him my paintings, landscapes mostly, attempts to capture the changing light over the fields behind our town, the quiet dignity of the old oak trees. He looked at them with genuine interest, asking questions about my technique, about what inspired me. He noticed details, the way I used color, in a way few others had. It felt good to share that part of myself, something I usually kept fairly private. We started falling into an easy rhythm. Sometimes he'd stop by after work, just to chat for a few minutes on the porch. Other times, we'd bump into each other at the grocery store and end up talking for 20 minutes by the produce aisle. We even went for a walk in the park one crisp Saturday afternoon, crunching through fallen leaves, talking about everything and nothing. Books we'd read, funny childhood memories, the way the town was changing. There was a comfortable silence between us too, the kind you only share with people you feel truly at ease with. I learned more about him. He was thoughtful, observant, with a dry sense of humor that often caught me off guard and made me laugh. He worried about his parents getting older, felt a bit adrift from his college friends, who were all settling down and starting families, and carried a quiet sensitivity beneath his calm exterior. He wasn't just the neighbor's son anymore. He was Ethan, a complex, interesting person navigating his own path. And I realized with a little jolt that maybe he saw me as more than just Carol, the nice lady next door. 2. He saw me as someone with thoughts, experiences, and creative sparks of her own. One rainy afternoon, he called. "Hey Carol, are you busy?" There was an odd note in his voice. "No, Ethan, just reading. Everything okay?" "Sort of," he said. "I had a discussion with my dad about the woodworking. It didn't go great. He thinks I'm being irresponsible. I just could use a friendly ear if you're not busy." "Come on over," I said immediately. He arrived looking damp and dejected, sinking into the armchair by the fireplace. He recounted the conversation with his father, the familiar arguments about security, wasting his education, the disappointment in his father's voice. "He just doesn't get it," Ethan said, frustration etched on his face. "He thinks because I'm good at engineering, I should love it. He doesn't understand that it feels hollow." I listened, letting him vent, offering quiet words of understanding. I didn't offer easy solutions, just empathy. "It's hard when the people you love don't understand your dreams," I said softly. "But ultimately, Ethan, it's your life to live. Your father loves you, he's worried about you, that's where his reaction comes from. But his path isn't necessarily yours." He looked up, his eyes meeting mine. "You really believe that? That it's okay to choose a different path, even if it disappoints people?" "I believe I said firmly, that true contentment comes from being authentic to yourself. It takes courage. And sometimes the people who love you might take time to understand, but your happiness matters. He sat quietly for a long moment, gazing into the crackling fire I'd lit earlier. The rain drummed against the window panes. Then he looked over at me, a different kind of emotion in his eyes now, not frustration, but a deep, quiet gratitude. "Thank you, Carol," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You always seem to know the right thing to say. You make things clearer." In that moment, sitting there in the warm glow of the firelight, sharing a quiet understanding, the connection between us felt incredibly strong. It wasn't romantic, not in the conventional sense. It was deeper than that, somehow. A meeting of minds, a shared vulnerability, a mutual respect that transcended age and circumstance. It was the simple, profound comfort of being truly heard, truly seen by another human being. And that felt more unexpected, more unbelievable than anything I could have imagined when he first asked me for coffee. Life didn't magically transform overnight, but something fundamental had shifted within me, like dormant bulbs stirring beneath the earth. My days still held their familiar rhythm, the coffee, the garden, the book club, but they were infused with a new layer of richness, a quiet hum of anticipation. Knowing Ethan was next door, knowing we shared this unexpected bond, made the world feel a little less predictable, a little more alive. Our friendship continued to grow, organically and without pressure. We'd share articles we thought the other would find interesting. He'd send me links about new artists or woodworking techniques. I'd clip out articles about local history or promising new authors for him. Sarah, his mom, noticed, of course. "You two seem to be getting along well," she commented one afternoon as we chatted over the fence, a curious but warm smile on her face. "Ethan seems lighter lately." "He's a good man, Sarah," I replied honestly. Thoughtful. "We just enjoy talking." And that was the truth. It was the simple enjoyment of conversation, of shared perspectives. He started seriously exploring ways to integrate woodworking into his life. He didn't quit his job, but he converted a portion of the garage into a proper workshop, soundproofing it carefully. He started taking on small commissions, restoring an antique chair for a neighbor, building custom shelves for the local bookstore. He even enrolled in a weekend business course for artisans. Seeing him pursue his passion, even cautiously, filled me with a quiet pride, like watching a flower you'd carefully tended finally begin to bloom. He often credited our conversations for giving him the courage to take those first steps. "You helped me see it wasn't an either/or situation," he told me one evening, showing me a design for a beautiful inlaid table he was planning. That I could build this slowly alongside my other responsibilities. And in turn, his energy, his quiet determination inspired me. I picked up my paintbrushes more often, experimenting with new styles, even submitting a piece to the local art fair, something I never would have dreamed of doing before. Our friendship wasn't a secret, but it was ours. It existed in those shared coffees, the quiet chats on the porch, the mutual encouragement we offered each other. There was no drama, no hidden agenda. It was simply real. A testament to the fact that meaningful connections can blossom in the most unexpected places, between the most unlikely people, if you just remain open. Looking back, the truly unbelievable part wasn't some dramatic event. It was the quiet miracle of forming such a deep, respectful, and mutually enriching friendship with my neighbor's son. It challenged my own preconceived notions about age, about relationships, about where connection can be found. Ethan taught me that wisdom isn't solely the domain of the old, and passion isn't only for the young. He reminded me that vulnerability is a strength, and that listening, truly listening, is one of the greatest gifts we can offer another person. And perhaps in my own way, I offered him a safe harbor, a place where he could explore his dreams without judgment, where his quieter, creative self was not just accepted, but celebrated. Our story doesn't have a grand, cinematic ending. There was no sudden declaration or life-altering event. Instead, it settled into a comfortable, enduring rhythm. We remain neighbors, friends. We still have coffee, sometimes at the daily grind, sometimes on my porch swing. He shows me his latest project. I show him my latest painting. We talk about life, its challenges and its small joys. It's an unexpected chapter in my life, one I couldn't have written or predicted, but one I cherish deeply. It taught me that growth doesn't stop at a certain age, and that the most profound experiences often arrive quietly, disguised as a simple invitation for coffee. It reminded me to look beyond the surface, to stay open to connection, and to appreciate the quiet beauty of friendship built on mutual respect and genuine understanding. And that, I think, is pretty unbelievable in itself.